Assalamu alaikum. Hello, if you're watching this, my name is Fatima, and today I'm going to be talking about the narrative going on social media that Muslim women are oppressed and how Islam specifically oppresses us as Muslim women and how badly we need saving and how it's a stupid and low IQ move for a woman to remain a Muslim. So, people intentionally mistake actual misogyny and culture for Islamic teaching, and a lot of our Muslim men are doing well in buttressing their false narrative. Before Allah sent the message of Islam to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for mankind, the unbelievers subjected women to a whole lot of oppression and dehumanization in a period called Jahiliyyah period. Some fathers went as far as burying their daughters alive because they did not see women as something of value. They did not see women as something deserving to live. They did not see women as human beings and also as equal to them in humanity. They were treated like that. They were killed. They were harassed, abused. Islam fought for the liberation of this woman. In fact, a Muslim woman was the first to build a university. It's in Morocco. Her name was Fatima. Islam through the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam fought for the humanization of women, the education of women. The Prophet preached to them that we are equal. In the sight of our Creator, there is no difference between the value and reward Allah attached to us based on our gender. Islam says that women must be treated with utmost respect, dignity, and honor. Islam granted women financial rights and independence. We are entitled to indulge in any business, own property, and also entitled to halal, obviously. We are entitled to our parents' inheritance, unlike the Jahiliyyah period, just because we are women. Women have the right to choose their husbands, be taken care of in every aspect of life or any stage of life by a man. We are entitled to every goodness a man is entitled to in Islam, and also a man have the responsibility of taking care of us, be it our husband, our brother, our father, or our children in every stage of life. We keep our names alongside our father's names after marriage because Islam recognizes us as a whole and complete human beings. Muslim women, not just Muslim women, women also have the right to live an abusive marriage, be it physically, mentally, and emotionally. Like a woman is entitled to represent herself in Islam. A woman is entitled to remain her father's daughter in Islam after marriage because we are complete as a whole. A woman must always be in care of, her father, her husband, or her children. Islam gave us the right to choose not to hustle and bustle, obviously, if we want to and if we are privileged to do so, if we have the luxury of that, which a lot of women do not have that, unfortunately, in this generation, with the condition of us being very well taken care of. The Prophet did not allow any form of oppression before any woman with his knowledge. He emphasized on the need for a woman to be taken care of, something a lot of men struggle to do in this generation. They see women as liability but are quick to bring in religion in a bid to win favor. A woman's money is hers and her husband is not entitled to forcefully collect it from her, except she wishes to give him from the goodness of her heart. Even in cases where a man divorces a woman, she falls back to the care of the men in the family. But how many men are willing to take on this responsibility in this generation? If capitalism is not crippling us, then it is the selfish individualism people adopt. A woman is to be escorted if she wants to travel by a family member who is a male and who will serve as a repellent for harmful men waiting to do something. Because let's be honest, there will always be men out there waiting to pounce on a woman. Be realistic. Islam fought to make life easier for women. However, in this generation, a lot of this is neglected, and women in some part of the world are being back to treated like, it's Jahiliyyah period once again. And this is what people try to throw at Islam, whilst conveniently ignoring the fact that it is misogyny and culture. And the utter hatred some men have for some women. It's true, honestly. Some men really, really hate women. It's true. Women in some places are being segregated based on their gender. They are denied human rights, and men are being excused because obviously we were brought up to think women are less. Not me specifically, but a lot of women. A man is allowed to get away with a lot of things. You can see it even with how some parents train their girl and boy child. Girls are raised, boys are loved. Boys are allowed growing up, without being reminded that their existence has value only when they get partnered up. Boys are allowed to be children for long, and girls get their childhood taken from them. That's why you see people saying, oh, girls mature faster. No, girls' childhood get taken away from them and told, oh, be matured, be matured. But boys, are allowed to be children. Boys don't receive, is this what you do in your husband's house? They don't get told, is this what you do when you get married? But women get told that, like, we hear that from our childhood. Not maybe not me specifically, but a lot of women, a lot of women get told that. And are asked when they do something wrong, is this what you do in your husband's house? Like, that is so crazy. Boys don't receive that. Of course, their wives are supposed to continue training them after marriage from the half baked efforts of their parents and are still expected to be seen as the head of a house. What a joke. Boys don't grow up hearing that their existence revolves around a woman. They grow up thinking they deserve whatever they want. They grow up with a disgusting sense of entitlement, and that sense of entitlement is among the reason why a man will rape a woman and even go ahead to rape their own child. We've seen animals fall victims to men degeneracy because this type of men think the whole world revolves around them. Women were fed the narrative that they are illogical for centuries and are only emotional and void of critical thinking, whilst men are the logical gender in quotes. It's a lie. This false dichotomy is successful because somehow men successfully removed anger from the radar of emotions, when in reality women are simply more empathetic, hence why they feel every emotions, and they feel emotions deeply, be it love, pity, anger, pain, you name it, empathy. They successfully painted women as caricatures that need men to think logically and feed it to them. But all the wars were started by men. Pride, extreme anger, and lust are also emotions, and if there's a gender deserving the tag of emotional, it is men. You don't see women going around pouring acid on men because they reject their advances, but we've seen men pour acid and disfigured women for saying no to them. Not only are this type of men emotional and illogical, they are violently so. Have you seen how men act after their favorite sport team lose a match? There is literally a statistic of women being beaten by their partners because their team lost a match or a game. Their lack of empathy is the exact reason why they ask and want women to parrot, in quotes, what was she wearing after a man rapes a woman. But we've seen fathers rape their daughters. We've seen fathers rape their babies. We've seen these men rape little children. We've seen men rape dead bodies, alligators, squirrels. We've seen men rape women in church, in mosques, fully clothed. 90% of murders are committed by men. Men will sexualize anything, including animals, and we can see how this all leads us back to misogyny, not Islam. Then, how is Islam oppressing me as a Muslim woman when it clearly validates my existence? And when a man does something just because he is a Muslim does not mean I shall feel oppressed by Islam, because Islam did not teach him to do that. Heck, in Islam, a woman has the right to kill her rapist and abort a pregnancy before a certain stage of life, birth, if it is as a result of assault. However, I would say all religions are rooted in patriarchy. Every religion, every system, constitution, and every world order from history has always been patriarchal in some manner. Yes, Islam favors women and clearly spell out our rights, but the limitation comes from the teachers. Islam was taught to us by men for the most part. So they have a way of making everything center around them because they are men, you know, they are not women. There is already a cultural allegiance of misogyny for this men. So it's not unusual for them to center everything about around their existence and not the existence of a woman. And that is why, even though historically Allah allowed men the permission of marrying a woman whilst women marry for women, whilst women marry one man at a time, which is men's or was meant to better the life of women, especially those whom lost their husbands, as a result of war, for companionship and to help them take care of themselves and their children in most cases. But we've seen how men in today's world have successfully managed to make women antagonize the idea of co-wife. We hate it with passion, and they have made it look like a punishment for women. Jealousy is normal. In fact, even the wife of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, Nana Aisha, was jealous of her sharing her husband with her co-wife. When you love someone, you feel that jealousy for them. But we have women today going out of their way to kill their co-wives. And we have men today threatening to get a co-wife for their wives anytime they misbehave. So of course, they see it as the enemy as expected. You don't keep threatening with somebody with something as a punishment and not expect that person to see it as the enemy. They always think adding a co-wife will be a solution for their misbehaving wives, not regarding the terrible state of the house and the chaos the children from those wives are coming into. So much for logical gender, the logical gender. Growing up as a Muslim girl, I didn't really know my rights given to me by Allah because we weren't really taught about it in, Islamia. It was always discussion fixated on the rights of men and how we can be good wives, Limao, we were just children. By the way, so as kids, we see ourselves and the men in Islam with a very wide proximity when it comes to importance and values. And it was among the reason why I grew up doubting the concept of, religion as a whole. I was so disassociated because even as a child, I did not allow anybody oppress me based on the fact that, I am a woman. No. Until I started reading and making my own research before I realized how important women are in Islam. Women are more important than men in Islam if we're going to talk about a gender that is more important in Islam. We grew up hearing there will be more women in hellfire in Islam, and a lot of us hated ourselves just to grow up and read that there also will be more women in Jannah, because there will come a time where the population of women will double that of men. Yet we will never forget to be reminded that a time will come where the population of women will be plenty, and so as men, they are supposed to have and they deserve, to marry a dozen amount of wives. That's so funny because we were never told about how women will be more in Jannah, only about the fact that there will be more women in hellfire. There will be more women in hellfire. Do you get? You also see this wickedness play out in countries where honor killing exists. Women are killed for as little as being stubborn and rebellious. Let's not even get to the hijab part.
This is the moment an ordinary teenage girl became an icon. Her name is Nika Shakarami. She's banning the hijab as part of the Women Life Freedom movement that swept Iran in 2022. It was one of the last things she'd ever do. 9 days later, her mother found her dead. Many who speak out are threatened, imprisoned, or even executed. In September 2022, a young woman called Mahsa Amini is detained. After failing to fully cover her hair in public, an act of defiance in the eyes of the regime, she's arrested, beaten, and dies in custody. Her death shocks the country and the world. Protests spread quickly across Iran. Hijabs are burned, and women unveil their hair. From its farthest corners, right to the heart of Tehran. Ghazal was at the protests.
For me, what was beautiful was that this time, everyone was involved. Women, men, young people from different types of mindsets, different type of families. It was not just about the scarf and the hijab. It was more than that. It's about everywhere, everyone who's seeking freedom.
20th September, 4 days after Mahsa Amini's death, demonstrators are in Laleh Park. They're facing down the police and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, the armed force that upholds the rule of the supreme leader. A young woman steps up among them.
از همون لحظه تولد نیکا من متوجه شدم که نیکا یک انرژی فوق‌العاده‌ای داره. نیکا خیلی خوش صدا بود، خیلی همیشه مشغول آواز خوندن بود. نیکا شاید 1 سال قبل از جنبش مهسا راجع به این حکومت و این ظلمی که داره به ما میشه و این بی‌عدالتی‌ها خیلی فکر می‌کرد به این جریانات. خیلی جسور و نترس. همیشه می‌ترسیدم که نکنه اتفاقی براش بیفته.
Her mother is right to be afraid. Nika doesn't know it yet, but she's being hunted. We've been handed what is, on the face of it, a classified IRGC report that's never been published before. Those who supplied it to us are risking their lives, so we've reproduced it for their protection. It's 6 pages of a much larger case file of investigations into protesters during 2022. These pages summarise a 5-hour classified hearing on Nika's case. It's marked highly confidential and states it's based on extensive talks with IRGC commanders and interviews with their teams that policed the protest. With many fake Iranian documents in circulation, it's extremely difficult to authenticate leaks. We've spent months cross-checking it with multiple sources. We can't confirm every detail, but overall, it checks out. This is what it says. It begins by stating several IRGC teams are undercover at the protest. One of these teams is Team 12, and one of its members, Behrouz Sadeghi, has infiltrated the crowd, with Nika in his sights. The team leader is stationed in an unmarked vehicle nearby, waiting for Behrouz's call. At 7:30 p.m, Behrouz calls his team to arrest her. But she slips away. As darkness falls, the violence intensifies. People are injured and arrests made. Nika's on the run, trying to reach her friends. She's next spotted almost an hour later, evading her hunters. They wouldn't lose her a second time. Now they have her, it's important to understand where everyone is in Team 12's vehicle. It's an unmarked freezer truck. The report says the unit's leader, Morteza Jalil, sits up front next to the driver. Behrouz and the team's other 2 members, Arash Kalhor and Saleh Monjazi, have Nika's hands tied up in the rear compartment. Morteza calls his HQ, IRGC Tactical Camp 114, seeking orders on where to take her. He's told to drop her at a nearby base. But when they arrive, the base commander has a problem. He has so many detainees, his guards are overwhelmed. With tensions in the city boiling over, Morteza contacts HQ again and is given a new destination. En route, he hears crashing in the back of the truck. The report includes the direct testimony of Team 12, who tell us what happens next. We're using actors to speak their words. A warning, they describe a killing.
It was completely dark. We could only see each other with the light of our phones. Arash gagged her mouth with his socks, but she started struggling. Then Sadek laid her on the chest freezer and sat on her. The situation calmed. I don't know what happened, but after a few minutes, she started swearing. I couldn't see anything. I could only hear fighting and bashing.
When she started swearing and struggling again, I turned on my phone light and saw Sadek was sitting on her, with his hands in her pants.
I never put my hand in her pants, but I can't deny that when I was sitting on her, I got aroused and touched her buttocks. Her hands were tied behind her back, but she suddenly jolted her body, so I fell. She kicked at my face, so I had to defend myself.
I could hear the sound of the baton hitting her and the freezer. I started to kick and punch, but really didn't know if I was hitting our guys or her.
From the truck's cabin, Morteza hears the commotion and orders the driver to pull over.
When I saw her, I was only thinking about how to transfer her. And didn't ask them any questions except, is she breathing? I think it was Behruz who answered, no, she's dead.
Now what? With a killing on his hands, Morteza calls Tactical Camp 114 for a third time. This time, he speaks to a more senior officer, codenamed Naeem 16, the only officer this report doesn't identify by name.
We already had death in our stations, and I didn't want the number to rise to 20. Bringing her to the camp wouldn't solve any problems. I just asked, are you sure she's dead? Morteza Jalil confirmed she was. So in my opinion, the best thing to do was dump her on the street.
I had a light, and with my own vest, I cleaned the blood from her face and head, which were not in a good condition. I told the driver to find a quiet street. Around Taimuri, under the Yadegar Imam Highway, we dumped the body.
Nika's mother, Nasrin Shakarami, had no idea what happened to her daughter. All she knew is that Nika hadn't come home.
صبح اون روز ما مراجعه کردیم به فکر کردیم که نیکا رو گرفتن مامورا. به حالا ارگان‌های مختلف، زندان‌ها و اداره آگاهی و جاهای مختلف، هر جایی رو که فکرشو می‌کردیم رفتیم. تا 9 روز هیچ خبری از نیکا نبود. 9مین روزی که نیکا مفقود شده بود، من و داداشم محسن رفتیم اداره آگاهی.
This time, state television broadcast the official investigation. It explained how Nika had killed herself by jumping from a building and stated her death was unrelated to the protest she'd just attended. It showed CCTV of a person it claimed was Nika entering a 5-story apartment block just after midnight on September the 20th. But Nika's mother says it's not her.
میتونن از یه شخصی که شبیه نیکا خیلی زیاده. ولی که به هیچ عنوان تایید نمی‌کنن که اون نیکا باشه.
Their investigation also included a video still of Nika's body at the site of the alleged suicide. Nika's mother remains unconvinced. In an Instagram post, she said local residents witnessed a group of men bring a girl's body to that location one morning and photograph it in the early hours.
تهدیدهایی از من کردن که من بیام اعتراف کنم و فیلم بگیرن و پخش کنن و بگن که حالا این یا چه میدونم خودکشی بوده یا میخوان من رو مجبور به این کار کنن.
But because this 16-year-old girl dared to stand for what she believed in. Throughout the Women Life Freedom movement, more than 500 of those who spoke out were killed. These are just the reported numbers. Now she joins the likes of Mahsa Amini and the countless other young women who've been killed for speaking out. But the name Mika Shakarami will be remembered.
They are Muslim, not because they are Muslims. It's only fixated on Islam because, it's a trend to just hate on Muslims, and it's just easier to say, oh, Islam oppresses women. But we don't see that for other religion, or other culture when they do that. Anyways, that's by the way. There is no way a woman whom does not like wearing the hijab or whom does not agree with the concept of hijab will wear it in the same faith, as a woman who resonates and enjoys wearing it. After being beaten and dehumanized, you don't feel the need or the love for, but that particular piece of cloth. You don't beat or hit a woman and then expect her to do what you want her to do, what you beat her to do, because, you feel you can do that or you feel you get away with it. We don't see men get beaten or killed for not lowering their gazes. We don't see them get killed for not adhering to Islamic values. I'm only going to use the cases. I'm only going to use these cases because I think about them every day. I believe anybody that gets tortured into doing something hates it eventually with passion, and that is very harmful, as it makes some women that even want to revert into Islam run away from Islam, because it will never occur to them that it's misogyny. They will always see it as Islam killing women. The only difference between us and the women that fall victims to these men are the men around us, whom are good and responsible, and also our location. When we call out for Muslim women to get educated and be empowered so as to live a better life, that's because even a peaceful life even allows a person to practice Islam properly, but they call us all sorts of names, in a bid to silence us. The popular one, which is feminist, and I laugh always, because is that supposed to be an insult? If wickedness, misogyny, and the ill practices of some men is not an insult, then feminism is not. Some men do it ignorantly, to be honest, while some men say it's purely out of hatred for women. So whenever I ask these men what feminism is, that they use it to insult me, I listen to them define a woman living within her human rights that she is entitled to. Until you find another definition or another insult to use, calling me a feminist will not make me feel insulted. I am not sorry, okay? This is a clear example of a discussion between me and my classmates, because I was curious to know why he called women second class, and he resorted to calling me feminist as an insult. Till date, he did not give me any reason for calling women second class. Yes, he is a Muslim. I don't know if they say it out of ignorance to the values, I don't know if they say it out of ignorance to the value Allah placed us as Muslim women or as women, or it's just the entitlement in how boys and girls are raised. Because in some homes, boys and girls are raised entirely different. Boys are prioritized and girls are just told to shut up and listen. Do you get? If all women get empowered, we won't have women becoming miserable because their feeding is solely dependent on the mood of a man. Do you get? That is a very dangerous situation to be in, knowing how extremely wicked men can be. Men are scared of other men. Do you get? Men are scared of men, to say the least. Empowering a woman does not make her any less of a good wife, except if she's naturally bad, aside her being married. I've seen incredibly important and powerful women that are married or that have married because, marriage is that important in this society, hence why I'm citing it as an example. I've seen great women, and the first one, which is, one of the greatest women in Islam, Nana Khadija, the first wife of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our own Nigerian Okonjo Iweala, Amina J. Muhammad, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, whom was assassinated, and we have Gambo Sawaba, who was the most jailed woman in Nigeria. She was beaten and tortured, maltreated because she was an activist and also fought vehemently for women's rights. This was a woman whom had her hair shaved off her head with a broken bottle, and she was imprisoned 16 times. But in today's world, we've seen how lack of empowerment ruin women and causes their death.
hali da nake ciki na kasance ba na jin daɗin rayuwata tun da ina tare da mijina. Hakikanin gaskiya tun da ina tare da shi ba wani jin daɗi da sai baƙin ciki da damuwa. Magana arziki ba za ta haɗa ni da shi ba, sai dai komai na yi na faɗa ba zan matsa kusa da shi ba. Sannan duk baƙin ciki, duk abin da na yi sai ya ƙaryata ni, ya ce ƙarya nake yi. Na kasance wulaƙantatta a wurin matatai, a wurin miji ne har mutanen gida. Ba komai nake ba, ba kowa nake ba, gabaki ɗaya rayuwa ta haka nan na kasance.
Ga kito kina fama da lalura ta rashin lafiya. An ta asibiti an tantance abin da ke damun ki ko ba a ta ba?
An je asibiti an kaci ba da wata damuwa wadda ta kai in aji damuwa gehe, kawai in fuskanci Allah, in ban komai Allah.
Lokacin da kina tare da shi mijin naki baki da lafiya, ya taɓa yunkurin kai ki asibiti ko aka diba lafiyar ki?
Bai kai ni asibiti ba a kai mutum asibiti saboda baka haƙida tasu ta gargajiya. Sai dai magani, wani ya sai man, wani bai sai man, duk kuɗin da nika ajiyewa ba yadda za a yi su azu.
Wato ga al'adar gidansu su kenan ba su kai mutum asibiti, sai dai yaya kenan?
Ita illa ce ni ban yadda da matsala ba, sai ta ce to ita ina ruwanta, ita ai ba abin da ya dame ta. Ita wace ce? Ɗaya.
Ita ɗaya wace ce?
Ɗaya matar.
Ok, abokiyar zaman ki kenan. Wace ce uwar gida da ke da ita?
Ita.
Ok, to ya zama cewa idan baki da lafiya din, kina sanar da shi cewa baki da lafiya?
Ina gaya mai. Ce ba ni da lafiya.
To kuma bai taba cewa da kai ki asibitin ba? Bai taba kai ki ba? A ƙidar gidansu kenan ba a zuwa asibiti sai dai a yi amfani da maganin gargajiya. To lokacin da duk waɗannan abubuwan suke faruwa, kin taɓa yunƙurin sanar da danginki abin da ke faruwa?
Ina gaya musu, in ce a taimaka min, sai a ce to wataran a ce na cika hitina, wataran kuma a taimaka min, kuma bayan nan kuma ya ga laifi ya ce me yasa anka ya haka, ai sai a sanar da shi.
Kuma babansu ya ce in ma na kawo mishi na kawo ma banza, na kawo ma titi. Yasa to kuma kawo ma titi kin gani a gara rike kayana. Duk wanda na ce taimaka min sai ya ce sai ni ne da fasikanci. Saboda yaya ka zama ba hukacin garbi da yaji kullum kai kenan bara. Wani na wuce ka ce ya taimake ka ya ce ya kwanta duka. Wani 'ya'yan da ya ce mu in na zubar da su na zubar ma banza na zubar idan ta bi kango ina kwana shi ne sai aka ban wannan kafin mai gidan ya dawo amma an siyar da shi a haka ake ina cikin wahala to ya za kai haka Allah ya dora maka ka
yanzu kuna kuke kwana ɗaya kenan
dukan mu bakwai uwata ba ta da karfin ta gaji da cita ita ba tana nima ne in fata ban mutu aure ba tun da uba su ya guje su ba zan zuba da ƴaƴana Allah ku taimake ni ba na so ƴaƴana su samu ƴan shaye-shaye ƴaƴana su samu tarbiyya na gari don Allah da annabin alfahari da su yaran mu bakwai wala ban sana'an kuma here mai cibola wata sa'in kuma in na samu wankan in
me cibola
rafta
me rafta
ƙarfuna ko robobi a bola mu siya mu ci abinci wata sa'a man kuma yanzu yara na suna bara sun ta mata ku bara sun je bara kafin za mu ci abinci
me yasa suke bara ba sa makaranta
ba sa yi ba da kuɗin da zan sa su makaranta da dai na sa su to kuɗin wata yanzu ba sa zuwa bara suke zuwa da kansu su bakwai ne a cikin bakwai din nan mace ce ɗaya aka da muke wata sa'a ma abincin bola muna ci ko in aka zubar haka sai mu kwaso wancan bola ko tana zuba waye mu je mu kwaso mu wanke ko ina je ne wanka ko ina je gidan biki ana suna in buge kirji in yi ina ga kanzu in kwashe duk dattin shi ma zan wanke shi mu ci da yara a haka muke ko azumi ma haka dai mu ci mu zauna ba abincin da zamu ci kuma haka muke daukan azumi ba ci ba shi a haka muke ba yara na ma sai su ko sati wata sa'in ban yi wanka ba kudin sabulu.
And that is not to say empowered women do not experience misogyny or brutality from wicked men, but at least they have it easier and are more privileged to run for their life, because a lot of women are in a position of abuse today because they don't have the financial power to escape from it. They are mostly dependent, obviously, most especially in terms of finances. They don't have the money to feed themselves because they are told men are supposed to do it, because it is ordained for a man to take care of a woman. But lol, we know how a lot of men in this generation are, we've seen men refuse to allow their wives be empowered because they believe a woman's place is only in the kitchen and to give birth. And also sometimes there are a lot of husbands are jealous of their wives. They don't want their wives to be successful women because they believe, okay, if this woman gets empowered, then she will have a choice to reject it whenever I abuse her, or she will have a choice to leave when I'm abusing her. Honestly, that's the thought process of a lot of men, and they have voiced it out, We've seen situations where husbands die and they leave their widowed wives and children at the mercy of the world and their family members, whom in this generation for the most part do not even take care of them, because people have lost touch with the idea of being kind. In this generation, a lot of people have lost that. Allah said a woman should be taken care of at every aspect or every stage of life. Do these men do that? A lot of men do not do that. Some men try their best to be the best humans they can be and to be the best men they can be, but every woman is not lucky, to have this particular men in their lives. That is why it's a must. It is pertinent. It is important for a woman to be empowered and educated. And we have some audacious men say women should not get educated in this generation.
We need to stop normalizing women getting an education.
Yet they will die and roll in their graves before they allow a male doctor see their wives. That is crazy. It simply means they want women to die.
Hey guys, it's only from Gotham. I'm here in Afghanistan and I've just come across a lady who's begging in the snow. You can see the snow behind me. When I asked her why is she begging, she literally said there's no food in the house and there's no option. She's been sitting out here for hours and hours and then the entire day, and this is all for food. This is the plight of the women in Afghanistan. The street is littered with these women begging. When it comes to snow, rain, sun, they will keep begging. They have no other option. Oh, bless her. She's actually crying. Bless her. It's okay. Bless her. Guys, this is the price of women. We need your help. Thanks.
You know, when you're privileged for so long, equality feels like oppression to you. That's an example. They love seeing women dejected and at their mercy, you know. They love seeing us beneath them. They want to march on women and do whatever they want, you know, whatever they wish to do. And that is simply not possible. We're not sorry. And also, it clearly contradicts Islam, which brings me back to misogyny, because it happens in every part of the world, not just the Islamic world. Do you get? So, Islam does not oppress women. Wicked men oppress women. Wicked men oppress men too. So, Islam does not oppress me as a person. Islam gave me rights. Islam liberated me. Oppression can come from any man in any walk of life. If a man wants to oppress a woman, he's doing that solely because he is an oppressor and not because he is a Muslim. We've seen incredibly great fathers, great husbands, great brothers that are Muslims. Why don't we attribute that to Islam? Why do we only attribute or feel the need to attribute negativity to Islam? That is crazy. Anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinion on this discussion, and thank you for watching.